Today, we're going to be playing a bit of a numbers game. No, I won't have you do anything, but I am going to describe something that I've been holding on to for a while, and I want to show you, before we begin, this video. That 1 is infinity, but it's also 2. 3 is just a fancy way of saying 1. And 5 describes each of the things that 3 cannot or that 1 knows, which also means 7. Welcome to the Relationship Theory, everyone. Here we take thoughts in, we break them down, we build them up, and we play them out. Today we're going to be talking about how love is a number, and it is 7. You might be thinking, what? How the heck? What's going on here? Well, hold on to your belts. I've got mine. But hold on to your belts, grab whatever you can, whatever you trust, because I'm going to break this down for you. How I got 7 for love. I've come to find that recently I'm a bit of a mathematician when it comes to life and just what we see and what we endure and just the way that we live. It's very interesting. I've got a bit of a Nikola Tesla complex. But anyway, enough waffling. I really appreciate life. I really love to get into the nitty-gritty of life. I love to imagine things. I love to break down images that I see in my head and find a way to articulate these things. And what I've come to find is that numbers are a really important part of what it means to be alive. Go figure. As much of a nerd as I am about this, I'm not going to go into it. I do just want to come today and break down how I possibly got 7 for the number of love. I use 3 C's in my Instagram, on the Relationship Theory for Instagram. I use 3 C's. I call them communication, conversation, and connection. I actually start with connection first, but I use those 3 because what I'm really trying to relate to is the way that people interact with one another. And when it comes to those 3 C's, what I'm really looking at is how messages are transmitted from one person to another. I mean, we have our minds, we have brains, and we use our bodies, but exactly how do we come to understand one another? Seeing people have difficulty communicating with each other and understanding each other really makes me curious, because I mean, I don't seem to have a hard time understanding myself, and I like to think that if you know yourself, you know how you come across, and if you know how you're coming across, the only way you're misinterpreted is because someone else doesn't understand who they are and how they listen to other people. This is where we're going to start. We're going to start with the number 1. When it comes to communicating with people, when it comes to messages and transmission, 1 is going to refer to the message. As you saw, I say that 1 also means 2, which means that both of us can receive a message. Either I have a message that I want you to receive. So there's the transmission and then there's the reception of it. That's how 1 is also 2. When it comes to messages though, there's a way that you want to break it down. You still have to decide how you want someone to receive you, right? You can say the very same thing that you want to say, whether you're crying, angry, you're sad, you're happy, you're jealous. You can use all types of expressions. But as a mainstay, there are 3 different degrees. I've covered this in a blog where I said that vulnerability is the ability to articulate without polarity, without any positivity or negativity to what you're trying to say. So a tone of neutrality. When you're vulnerable, you know how to articulate sensitive information without polarity. So when it comes to the number 3, you have a positive level of expression, a negative level of expression, and then you have a neutral level of expression. It's all up to you and how you want to show how you want someone to receive you. Once you've decided how you want someone to receive you, the number 5 comes into play. when you're trying to get someone to understand what you have seen. You're trying to get someone to receive the story. And the only way for someone to receive your story is if you use the senses. You use something that captures information in a way that helps you understand the kind of experience you are having. And the best way to articulate your experience is to use your senses to describe these things. What did you smell? What did you hear? What did you see? What did you feel? Did you taste anything? Was anything said? Did you hear someone say something? Did it make you think a thing? Did you feel a way when you heard what you heard? Tell me the story. So your five senses are a very, very integral part of what it means to communicate yourself, whether you want to do this in a positive, a negative, or a neutral way. But then finally, when it comes to the number 7, 7 comes back to number 1. Because at the end of your message, the beginning is going to be how someone receives you. So think about this. You have a message you want to send to someone. You choose whichever polarity you want, how you want someone to receive your story, which you then use your 5 senses to articulate. And then once you have all of those senses and that experience gathered together, you then capture it all to send it out, to transmit. Number 7 is how you send the message, but it's also the beginning of how they receive your message. If I can paint a picture for you, you would start to see how this would actually become to look like a DNA spiral happening and bouncing back and forth between two people. Because although your message is going to go from 1, 3, 5, 7, and then finally come out to be received as one total message, they still have to break down the way that they receive you. So they still have to receive you the way that you intended. So they can align with your desire to send them your message in a positive sense. They can align with your desire to send your message with a negative intent. They can align with your desire to send a message with neutral intent. However they align with those things, they still have to unpack your story. They still have to look at the 5 senses, look at their own 5 senses. They need to be able to relate to you in the way that you are coming across, the way that you're telling your story. They still have to be able to experience what you experience. What better way to do that than to think of how their own senses would react to your story. And once they have finally captured all of that information in their senses, and they figured out how you want to bring yourself and how you want to tell your story, they still have to absorb it. They have to make that message one. They have to encapsulate that. The 7 for them would be the decision to encapsulate that message, to gather it and make it one thing that they understand. That goes back and forth until you both are finished telling your story. Now, where does love play a part in all of this? Well, there is a basic need and desire to share information. There's a basic need to want to relate and synchronize and to gather together and to integrate. Always collecting and coalescing information from as many angles as we possibly can. We are always assembling things together. We're always bringing things in. Love is that integration of everything that we experience. When we want someone to feel like they're a part of the fold, when we want them to feel like we're their friends and that they're safe and they're protected, we make them one of ours. Love is us receiving their message, transmitting their 7 into our 1. Their senses, the way that they want to bring themselves, what their message even is, we receive that as 1 into ourselves. So that's where love plays a part in these numbers. And that's how I got here. So I thank you all for listening to this. Listen, I have a lot of time where I think to myself, and I'm not necessarily sharing all of this. I'm not having a ball living my life, but I really feel like it was important to share that with you all. I just want to help anyone else who's probably thinking about what I'm thinking, just to help you understand, hey, look, there are people out there who think the way you think, and this is what I've gathered. If you have an opinion or some facts or some thoughts about this, please, by all means, drop a comment in the description box below. Give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but please tell me why. Tell me why. All right, I'm having a lot of fun. So, that's this episode of The Relationship Theory, everyone. Please, also in the description box, check out my podcast and my book down there. Also a bunch of links for my social media. But with all that said, enjoy your day.